Hello, I'm Mary Soucy from Bead Me a Story, and today I'm going to show you how to make this Rivulet bracelet. I named this weave Rivulet because it is basically a spin-off from the Abhainn Chain, and Abhainn is a word for river, and so I thought that Rivulet, which is a very small stream, would be appropriate for this. And there's another reason why this is a very small stream, and that's because I'm going to have another version coming out that's actually similar to this but wider that I called Tributary. So this is a really fun weave. If you've done Abhainn before, that's going to help you a lot in understanding how to move through the rings in this particular bracelet. It uses pretty standard size rings. And then the beads that I'm using are size 6 beads, and these are Japanese seed beads. I'd stay away from Czech seed beads on this particular project because we are using an 18 gauge jump ring, and you might have a hard time getting the rings through. But the Japanese, and these are actually union beads, so what these are actually Japanese made beads that are then finished in the Czech Republic with their just amazing iridescence that are on the outside. It's just a beautiful, beautiful bead. And the benefit in using seed beads in chainmail is actually you get to see more of the bead. So if it was tucked down into seed bead work, a lot of it would be hidden. Here you're going to get to see all of the beads really popping up on the top of the bracelet in their full glory. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Just one more thing. I am using Xuron pliers. You can use any brand of pliers that you want to, but I will say that I highly recommend the Xurons because they have a very non-slip surface to them. So when you grab your jump rings, you're less likely to slip off and scratch the anodized aluminum ring colors off of the rings as you're working. So just keep that in mind. The Xurons are fantastic. These are a chisel nose plier, and this is a 90-degree bent nose plier. So let's get started. So to start this, I've gone ahead and pre-opened all of my jump rings, and I've brought in my beads. Okay, and our first row that we're going to do is just simply a 2x2 chain, but we're going to do it making sure that our beads sit in a very specific place. So let me go ahead and I'll put a bead on the first one. And close. And now on the second one in this 2x2 row, I'm not going to put a bead. Okay, so each row has one bead on and one bead off. Okay, so now that I've got this very first row established, in the next row that I start, what I want to make sure of is you see that the empty jump ring is sitting below and the one with the bead on it is sitting up high. Okay, so I'm going to put my first one through. I'm going to add a bead to it. Let me get some of these in here so we can reach them better. Okay, add a bead into it. Okay, and I want to make sure, and this won't happen until my second jump ring, but I want to make sure that this row that I'm doing that is perpendicular to the first set of 2 I did, that the bead is sitting on the inside. So if we look at it kind of from the corner, so if this was straight on and we have a perpendicular here, how we're going to kind of look at this one is just a quarter turn so that we see this bead up, and then this bead is going to be on the high side or in the middle of the front. So in other words, you need to pay attention to where this bead is sitting in each row, because if it's not sitting in the correct place, the weave is not going to work properly. Okay, so if I push this up here, you can see that the inside jump rings hold the bead. Okay, so I'm going to start another row, and as you go along you'll see this, and it is in your instructions too, so that you can see this better. Okay, so I've got my first one, and the first one you don't really have to pay too much attention, but I can see that I did want it to come up here. Okay, so now I can compare this to see this one, the bead would be on the inside jump ring, and this one needs to stay inside. So I'm going to make sure to put my next jump ring back behind it. So if I'm looking at the beads, that was behind it. If you're looking at the back side, your back side should look blank. It should have no beads. Okay, let's get that bead back up here. And you can see how this bead now mimics this first bead. Do our next one. So just go through the two. See, this is no harder than a 2x2 chain. There's no more to it than that. It's just where we're making sure that that bead is sitting in each row. And since we're only doing one bead in each row, that makes it a little easier than trying to make sure that two beads in a row are sitting in particular locations. Okay, so you see we want it here. So I'm going to put the blank one behind it. Okay, and we're just going to keep going this way. So you want an entire row. I want you to look at the size chart that's in your kit and make sure that you're making this the appropriate length for your size. And I am going to just keep going with this. And you can pause your video at this point so you can go ahead and work along with me. Okay, so see, I can see I was on the back. I'm going to push that forward, and one more. Okay, so I'm going to stop my recording, and you can go and work on this chain too. See how it looks here, and just continue on and make it a full length that you need. So now you've completed the length of this, and I'll just show you again how you can see that each of the beads is sitting on the inside jump ring. Okay, whereas there's a jump ring out here that's on the outside of it that does not have a bead. And let me just flip this over so that you can see this clearly. So when you flip to the back, all you see is just jump rings. There's no beads on there, okay? So this is what it should look like before we start the next phase of this. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna bring in our second color of jump rings. So again, I encourage you to be creative and do these in your own colors. You'll have the initial kit in these colors, but I may offer these in some additional colors, and then you have beads at home, and the jump rings are fairly simple. So they're a very standard size, so it's easy to get creative and try some different things. Okay, so what we're gonna do is pick this up, and I'm gonna have the beads facing me, so I want to start putting jump rings on the right side. Okay, so see how my bead leans left? So I want to hook through both of these jump rings here. Okay, then I'm going to skip the next row. Okay, so you see this is hanging here. I'm going to skip this next row because the bead's leaning right, and I'm going to go to the next one where it's leaning left. Okay, and we're just going to do this all the way down the length that you've now created. And this is just like when you do a shaggy loop, you know, you want to add the shaggies to either side. So just imagine one side has the bead, the other side's going to have a jump ring. Okay, so see how I'm doing that? And you see that it's just all down one side, and it's every other set of jump rings. So I'm going to pause again. Let's complete that, and we'll go to the next step. Okay, so now I've completed going all the way down the bracelet. So you can see this entire right-hand side has jump rings all the way down it. Now, this is where it's going to be a lot like the Abhainn weave. So hopefully you've done that before. If not, I will try and make sure that this is very clear as to what you're going to do. And this is probably the hardest part of this, is this second ring that we're going to do along each side. Okay, so I've got my jump ring, and I'm going to go from the outside to the inside. This is the second jump ring down of the ones that I just added. Okay, so not the first row that I added, but the second row. I want to go from the outside to the inside, and then when it comes back up, I want to let it go through the jump ring of this second beaded row that has no bead. Okay, so through this second jump ring, and then also through the very top first ring that I had added. Okay, so with these, it's going from the inside to the outside. Let me just show you that again. Okay, so we've got all our jump rings on. You can see here's the top one, here's the next one down, and so on. Okay, pick up your jump ring, go from the outside to the inside of the second jump ring that was added, and then come up through the second row of the beaded rows, and you want to go through the jump ring from the inside to the outside that has no bead, and then through the jump ring that's beside it, which is the first shaggy jump ring that we added. Okay, and then we're going to close this. And it's steps like this. This is when it's really good to have a written tutorial as well as a video, so that you can really see this clearly. Okay, so we went through this second one down, back up through this black one from the inside to the outside, and then coming back to the outside of this top teal one. Okay, so you're gathering up the two of the rows that you just added to the right hand side with the jump ring in between them, and it's also going to grab the middle while it's at it. So let me do that once or twice more, and then we're going to do that all the way down this bracelet again. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the third one down, and I'm going to go from the outside to the inside. Okay, just pass through outside to inside, and then back up through, and I can just, oops, sorry, missed a row. Okay, back up through the black jump ring that's empty, no bead, that's right above it, and then through the other teal jump ring that was the second jump ring that we added to the outside row. Okay, so this takes a little bit of practice, understanding this outside to inside and inside to outside, but once you get the hang of it, this is actually a very natural pattern to do. Okay, so you can see that I went through this ring first, then came back up through this black and through this teal. Okay, so you can see this middle ring that I just added here. I'll just do this one more time, just to make sure you get it. Also look at your written instructions too, if you need help. Okay, from outside to inside, And you can see, I can very clearly see this black one that's right above it. Mainly because it's facing the right direction that it becomes obvious. And then through this other teal, okay? And to the outside. So let's go ahead and do that all the way down. And then once we do this entire side, what we're gonna do is we're gonna move over to the other side and work in a similar way, but it is a little bit different. Okay, so now that we've filled in this, this right-hand row, I just want you to see that we've got this going all the way down through here, okay? And now we want to have the other side mimic that side, okay? So we're gonna do that in a little bit different way. So if you turn this over, you can see that we filled in here, 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 but now we've got a bead there. Okay, so actually in this next row, we're gonna start at the very top at this single ring, and we're gonna do again every other row. So it'll be this top one that's a single, and then this first double where there's not a bead in the way, and then the next double and the next double. Okay, so I'm gonna start filling these in. So just like before, it's just like making a shaggy loop. We're just sticking a ring off on the side that's just gonna hang there for now. Okay, so that next one down. So these are real easy to see because that other side is filled in. So it's very, very simple to get a feel for that. Okay, so I'm gonna pause here again, and then we're gonna come back and finish this up. So now we've completed this entire row of adding the extra rings to the outside of this. And now we're gonna zip those up just like we did on the other side. But on the other side, when we were working, we started on the second one down and came back up through the first one. Now we're gonna kind of do that in reverse. We're gonna do from the first row. Okay, so we're still passing from the outside to the inside. So we're gonna go through this first one that we added, and then we also wanna go through the black ring that doesn't have a bead on it that's beside it. Okay, so pass through from outside to inside here, and then the black one that doesn't have a bead, and then we want to come back out through just the teal. Okay, so we're kind of doing the same thing. You're still going through in the second ring down, you're still just passing through the one, and then the upper rings that are closer to the start, you're passing through two, but we're moving downwards in the opposite direction this time. Okay, so you can see this one right here that we just added. So now we're just going to continue to do the same thing. It's just a little bit trickier because you have to do this a different way than we did it on the other side. But still, see, I went in through these two, and then I'm going to come back out this next teal one down. My next shaggy loop that's down. And we'll close, and I'll show you one more. And then we'll pause again. Now this will be the end of this chain, so but I will come back and show you how to finish the ends. Okay, so through these two and back out. Okay, and then just real quickly here, I just want to show you that this mimics the other side. The only difference is from an Abhainn is, had we been doing an Abhainn, we would add the shaggies on the same rings going down, and then the same rings on this side. But with this particular weave, we're actually doing the rings on one side, and then we're actually up one ring on the other side. So these actually are sort of, you can look at them on the bias, okay? So it's just slightly different, but it works out beautifully. So I'll be back in a moment to show you how to finish the ends. Okay, so our chain is finally complete, and I hope you've been working right along with me. Now I'm going to show you what to do with the ends. I had to play with this a little bit to see what I was the happiest with, and I think I was very successful actually at finishing this. So I just want you to see that each row has 4, so it has a teal, a black, and a teal. But when I got down to this end, and this is where we're going to put our lobster clasp, I actually played with it with the 4, and I wasn't really all that happy with it. So what I'm going to have you do is this last ring that has a bead on it, I'm going to have you take that back out. I just think it ends up playing better this way. With only 3 on the end, it kind of joins up a little bit more nicely. Okay, so now you can see that it's just got the 2 that are on the end. So we do need another teal here. And just like I've been doing on this side, I'm going to pass through this ring here, through the black, and then I'm just going to let the teal be on its own because it has nothing to link to. Okay, so we'll link through there. And that's going to make our ring lean properly, so it leans along with the other 2 rings that are already there. And that's going to make it really easy to just join it all up. Okay, so we'll put our, we're going to use a black because the black was our center row. So we're going to go back to that center row neutral color that I used. And I'm going to put the lobster claw onto here. Okay, and then I'm going to close that. Okay, so you see how nice and clean that is on the end. All right, so now let's turn it around to the other side. And this side, there's actually not as much to do. This is wound up really nice. But you will notice that there's a teal over here, but there's not one over here. So I am just going to very simply fill that in just by passing through the teal. And that's it. I don't want to do anything else. Okay, and then see how this teal is leaning to my left, and then we've got 2 blacks and then the teal out here. So let's go ahead and close that one. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, I take that back. We do need to link it to the black. Okay, so there's going to be 4 linking through the black. My apologies. Okay, so just by adding that one, we've filled in all the way to the end of the row. If you prefer to, if you want to do like I did on the other end and remove the one that has the bead, you certainly can. And then finally, we're going to take the paper clip off. And basically on this end, we're just adding an extra jump ring. If you want to add 2, if you want to add 3, if you want to add a couple and throw a charm on the end of this would be the place to do it. And this is just where we're going to link back to our lobster clasp. Okay, so there you go. And then, like I said, if you prefer to have 3 and 3, that's fine. For some reason, my starting end seemed to lay a little bit better than the end with the lobster claw. So I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. This is a beautiful bracelet. Really shows off the beads. You can see that using these fancier union beads, you're really showing them off to their full form because you see them almost all the way around. Whereas if you were seed beading with these, you would only just probably see a little top portion. So, so I hope you enjoy this bracelet, and I hope you make lots of them. Thanks so much.